not going to be relief, and relief, and not going to be relief. It's just to really imply the singularity of the one who's relieved and not relieved. Yes?
Yeah.
The sense of oneness is so weak, it has to reinforce all the time. So basically, it's you that wants to get something. Yeah. The something that you want to get becomes minimal, and it's the you that gets emphasized. And in spirituality can really cast a pretty big reflection, because you may be looking for lifetimes. Yeah. You may be going on and on and on and on. Yeah. So it's all these little maneuvers, but they're mechanical. So once you see them, it doesn't mean they stop. They don't, because they're mechanical. And so then you go over another big delusion, which is because you believe all these aspects are yours, you figure when you change, they change, but they're not your aspects. Yeah, they're mechanical. So it's sort of like, you know, the guy in the spacesuit changes, but the spacesuit doesn't change. It's just the way it goes. The spacesuit is a defined mechanical operation, and what may be in it may have different qualities, but they're all mixed up. And so this is what people, it's a way of the system protecting itself, because when you get super clear, aspects that you call you don't. Yeah. And so you could get mad on the highway, you can, make an idiot of yourself in front of somebody. And then usually, because we believe that's part of me, and that part of me hasn't gotten it, so I haven't gotten it. Yes, it goes on and on. It's all tricky, but it doesn't. And you can, after doing these talks for thousands of times, you've seen a lot of it. It's not like it's not going to have a quadruple jump. It's limited. You can see it, what it does. Yeah, you can, because you're not in it, so to speak. You've never been in it. That's the good news. This isn't, see, if you were in it and you got out, then the fear of being back in would loom strongly.
Du sagst ja, du hast kein Bluetooth.
Am I on right now? Yeah.
Hi. Ich kann den Lautsprecher anmachen.
Yeah, somebody else
Also,
is talking.
Wenn der das, ich weiß auch nicht, wie man Bluetooth.
Somebody has to stop.
Ja, da geht man zu Bluetooth.
Uh,
Weißt du, wo das ist?
Just ask David Bitterman, Kathleen.
Yeah, I'm gonna make David Bitterman
Come on
cover.
in, please. Come on in. There's one more chair, and I have
Hey,
some.
Kathleen, in just about 2 minutes, I'm going to be in my office, and I can do it
Alright.
better from there. So do it when I log in on that one. We'll do it on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ja,
Thank you.
ich kenne mich da nicht aus, deswegen lassen wir das mal. Dann ist das, wie es ist. Ist fine. It's,
That's,
Okay.
I think that's Hiram.
Yeah,
That's
it's Hiram. It's your Hiram disturbing.
Hiram.
Yeah.
Be quiet, please. It's going out into the east. We're gonna start in a second, whatever. We're started already, but let's just keep going.
Just a
Yeah.
minute.
So when there's relief, and then there's your relief. Yeah, so when relief is claimed by the head, it can become your relief, and it comes in that package deal. There may not be relief. Yeah, so now, just like when the head is brought into a condition called peace, it gets anxious. Yeah, because it believes is the
Yes.
peace last till by tomorrow. Yeah, because the head is defined by a lot of programming, time, stuff like that. Yes, and duality. So basically, that the idea of you having relief is in jeopardy, because not because of the relief, but because of you. Yeah. So you can be introduced to relief, like get a great massage. Hey, have you ever been to Zen Bitchlab? Obviously.
7 years ago.
7 years. So you're in a 7-year loop. All right, that's good. You're one of our comets. It's like a Haley comet. It comes and then it rotates back out and stuff. That chair is open. Hey, before we start, actually, I'm gonna get some other chairs. I have 3 chairs.
Veterans, I know.
But not brought, you know what, I have some of the seats in the car, Chris, in the back.
Oh, well, let's see if you use that.
Oh, in the back, let's use the seats, oh yeah, ask the guy then, the pastor's working it, see if he has some more chairs, yeah, we better get some more. See, again, this is what affects a group too, when it gets too big, then I gotta start trying to be helpful to people. If there's a limited amount of people, you can be have true compassion and give them absolutely nothing. Over and over again. Every time they come, it's not, first of all, there's nothing new in non-duality. 7-year absence doesn't change anything.
There's no updates.
Yeah, I think the pastor's in there. Yes, yeah. Oh, we got in a crowd today. Oh, yeah, great. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, give the speaker some space. This is what you find out about, really. When you're relieved, it's not you having relief, you're relieved of you. And you find out a lot about that you, because you're relieved of it. Yeah, when you're seeking for relief based on the identification that it's you, then you wanting relief has reliefs incredibly defined now by time and space and settings. You know how some people to feel like they get ready to get in touch with God, they've got to put the candles on, the incense, lower the lighting. It's all them. It's nothing to do with God. God's not asking for any pre-requirements, but we do. Yeah. So before I meet God, I gotta get, it's just we're always we're like this action figure idea is like a giant thumb sticking in all the pictures. You know, when I used to take pictures when I was traveling Asia, there would be thumbs a lot because the thumb was hanging over the lens. I couldn't break the habit. So there would be like a big isthmus or peninsula of skin. I didn't even know what it was all the time. And I understood I gotta retract the thumb, but I didn't do it. It just would keep happening, yeah. So the picture and there'd be a big thumb. This is us. We investigate and try to study what it would be like to be absent, but as us. So we want to experience our own absence. It's stubborn. It just keeps showing up. Yeah, it does. So without knowing this shit, you're never going to have a sense of what you are. It's always going to be filtered through what you're not. Because what you're not is going to be the intermediary of everything. It's going to interpret your experience. You can see it. If you've ever have been blessed with what they would call an epiphany, it usually ends with a line of thoughts, which is, I'm having an epiphany. That's when it stops. Seriously, it gets completely altered as soon as it's claimed. Yeah. Now, epiphanies are awesome because they have paused that mechanicalness. So you've had maybe an hour or two running around, and that claiming hasn't triggered. That's an epiphany, literally. The epiphany stops the mechanical override. Yeah. And so the epiphany, you're just there without you being there. Could be an hour, 3 hours, who knows? Time doesn't matter, really. Yeah. But when the thought system regroups, it claims I'm having the epiphany, and then it stamps it, and then the epiphany is somewhat dead at that moment because now time and space has been brought up into its hierarchy. And there it goes. The epiphany now is something you had in a past date. And then you start maybe called the 800 epiphany number. And I think I want to measure this was a whopper. I think I beat it's like, well, when you're doing Trivial Pursuit on the plane, I got the biggest score in the epiphany. It was 5 hours at a waterfall in Bali. Try to beat that motherfucker. I'm winning. I'm winning. So then you become like a spiritual big game hunter. You're hunting big experiences and fucking, I went into a trance, but who remembers that? Yeah, it's whatever, it goes on, and people always would call me up, I've disappeared. Well, who's telling me that? That's what you want to disappear, is who's telling you that? Because if that which is telling you disappears, which it is, its nature is, if it doesn't come up, you haven't appeared. That's the fucking point. You haven't appeared so therefore the joy of disappearing isn't available. Yeah, and there's no great desiring to disappear because the clarity is you haven't appeared. Though you may seem to be appearing, you have never appeared. Yeah, this is the great relief on having never left. Not about arriving, but the relief on having never left. So all our failed arrivals, usually, hopefully, there's a whisper there, which is the whisper of truth, which is on having never left. So you get out of the habit of trying to arrive and you realize you're before that, on having never left. And the same thing with this. The relief is not the relief how we think about relief. It doesn't come after a huge stressful contracting experience. That's one kind of relief, but it's a dualistic one. It's relief before a lot of shit. Yeah, so you get relieved from the drive or the need to be relieved. Yeah, so when you're stressful, you don't believe it's you that's stressful. Yeah, and if you can't get out of the stress situation, okay, you just do what you do, and then when you can relax, you relax. Yeah, but the idea that it's you that's in the stress and that you that's going to get out of the stress is the biggest stress. Yeah, because how can you enjoy peace of mind if you think mind can be crazy in the next moment? How can you enjoy it? If you're on a shaky foundation, no matter how solid the thing you're holding, it's still going to shake on the foundation. Yeah. So this is the message I feel. Non-duality is so beautiful. Literally, it's the greatest. Two things have happened in this experience of 70-something years now. One was recovery from the active addiction of drugs and alcohol. That was pretty incredible because I wasn't looking for it. I had given up hope. I had gave it my best shot. I had spent 3 months in one program in Bronx, New York, came out here, ended up in another program for 2 years, thought that did it. That didn't. When I left, I went back out again. And I had just given up hope, really. Because hope had been completely removed from me. And I was just like hunkered down and trying to stay obliterated until the next event of institution, jails, or death. Yeah, because it was a pattern showing, yes. And I knew I was gonna, every time the dice rolled, they rolled the same numbers, institution, jails, or death. I was just waiting by trying to get loaded. And I had incredible, unsurmountable obstacles. I had no money, didn't have a place to stay. My batting average convincing people to do what I wanted was going bad. I wasn't having much success. I was super fucking pissed, literally. You don't know what it's like to have 2 pounds of coke and then have less than a quarter gram. It's like the epitome of the hungry ghost with the big belly and the small mouth. You've been feasting on a fucking huge run and now you got fucking nothing. It's worse than if you ever had something. It's the unbearability of the absence of that fucking thing, which is a hell, like a ring of hell I hadn't noticed, hadn't been in. And there was more coming, So there I was. I swear, I just come out. I left March 17th, 1988, went out to San Francisco, lost the car March 18th. March 19th, 20th, I must have traveled somehow because I ended up waking up on the 21st in a trailer park, sitting across the way from another guy in next to the hang gliding airport, which I had no idea, which is in Calistoga, about 2 hours north of San Francisco. I had no idea how I had gotten there. It was like I just parachuted behind enemy lines. Yeah, I was just showed up and looked at the guy, Royal Gate Vodka getting past, look at the planes outside. What the fuck? Yeah, and just have a big gulp of Royal Gate Vodka, and then I look at him and I go, man, this guy's a bum. He had a big head and bulbous nose, varicose veins on his face. And lo and behold, it looked like he was looking at me like I was a bum. And I got hit naked without a glove. Something just whacked me. Stopped the head sufficiently for us, for this, shook it enough so the screen disappeared, all that was written on the screen. And then there was a news broadcast, like a CNN headline, "You're fucked." Completely, capital letters, "You're fucked." I'd been in this condition, but I had been I was in a state of denying this condition. Constantly broken, fucked. And then the second body punch was, "Hey, you're not managerial quality. So you're fucked, and your managing is a large part of the fucked. So what are you gonna do?" Thoughts came back, changed. I had thoughts that were different, completely different than the thought stream I'd been listening to for the last few months. And that was, I better leave this place and call this program I had been in and see if they'll take me back. And that's what I did, seriously. First thoughts were, get up from this table, find a phone booth, call up this place called Delancey Street. That's what I did. And then Delancey Street said they had been getting my newsletter and they knew what I'd been doing somewhat in the last 10 months. And they said, "You can't come back." And what? "Yeah, you can come back in a month and have another interview and we'll see if we want you or not." And this was like, so I had some honesty had come in with the message, and I said, "I don't think I have a month, it just, I felt mortal, terminal, something was gonna happen bad." And so I hung up and then I called the lady, and it set off a train of circumstances that for me to have a place to stay that night, I had to commit to going to a recovery meeting. And I did. Salvation Army on Valencia and Army, March 21st, 1988. I've been sober and clean ever since. Never had a strong thought or a feeling about drinking or using ever again. So far, 36 years, pretty good. No thought, the urge gone, no desire, nothing. As if the problem doesn't exist for me. Fucking unbelievable. Yeah. That was pretty incredible. But
You were sitting
at that moment, it left. It left. I got whacked sober. What I needed to stay sober was a way of life. So the whack sober came with an accessory, which was essential, which is a way of life to stay whacked. And that's it. No, in the night when I went to AA, I found the way of life that if I live this way of life, I have the possibility of being sober the rest of my life. Didn't look at it that way, but I was jacked up. I was happy. I felt like I had just gotten out of really a prison. And man, I was what we call on a pink cloud, because the relief from this fucking bondage of self was just unbelievable. And I was willing to do what I needed to do to stay sober a day at a time. And it wasn't that much. What was needed was a willingness to allow some of my strategies and behaviors to change. So it was like, I submitted, I laid on an operating table, and what I learned was, don't get up and don't play doctor. And then just do what we did, and I did, and I got into the habit of being sober. And then that opened me up to a lot of other possibilities, and one of them was non-duality. About 10 years later, I'd say, 9 years later, 88, around 97, I got heard. I mean, I had the ears to hear, but I hadn't heard non-duality. Never heard it. I heard of like non-self or something like that, but I never heard non-duality. 1997, I think I heard the message. Wow, it's incredible. Yeah, heard it. I couldn't even hear it because she couldn't speak loud. She's from East Europe, and we were in an open park in Berkeley. It didn't matter. I felt something from being at satsang. That got me to go to another satsang, and then I heard about other people, and I read a book, and I went to India, and then I stopped doing all that. Yeah. Because if you're wet and you're in the river, it's gonna seem absurd to be buying water from someone. Yeah. If I'm in the river, I'm not gonna be buying water from someone that's in the river. I'm gonna recognize, if I can see he or she is wet, hopefully I'll recognize that I'm wet. Instead of falling into the dualistic situation of thinking you have something that I don't have. Yeah, this is the dilemma. No, this is why they say if you see the Buddha on the road, shoot it, because that's what's happening. Your head is projecting your own nature onto something else. And you're calling him or her the Buddha. So then, and I'm telling you, your head is setting it up for the Buddha to fail for you. So that you can be right, really. So it says, before you want to go through all that shit, just shoot them. Just shoot the idea that the Buddha is outside of you. Yeah, and maybe you'll find out you're the Buddha. Yeah, you're not going to find out you're the Buddha if they're the Buddha, probably. But you are going to find out that you're the Buddha if you listen to non-duality. Yeah, because why? It says what's looking is what you're looking for. Yeah. What's looking right now is what you're looking for. There doesn't seems to be that many exemptions there. Yeah. Or like the Course of Miracles says, you and I give everything all the meaning it has. That's a pretty comprehensive statement. You and I give everything all the meaning it has. I would say that's a pretty big role to be involved with. Yeah. If you're the one that's giving everything all the meaning it has, then everything you're giving meaning to must be empty of meaning. In other words, nothing's real. Yes. So the idea of emptiness is very clearly experienced when you see that this is a subjective experience, to the point where we're in AA. You may have a story of the worst thing that ever happened to you. Maybe when you first went to jail because the cops pulled you over, and I wasn't doing nothing though. I was, it's always, I'm an innocent person, just got pulled over. But if you look like 5 minutes into your long history, you'll see your role is written all over. But no, I wasn't doing fucking anything. It just pulled me over. And so, but then you get into a program where the mind is allowed to change. You don't even have to change it. Just follow the suggestions and it will change. You don't have to change it. Because if you set out to change the mind, that's more mind, literally. That's why it doesn't work. Yeah. So you just do what we're doing, and then the mind changes to the point that the worst thing that ever happened to your life would have been christened as the worst thing, is seen as the best thing, because it led you to this moment where you're sober now. Yeah. So what was it? Was it the worst thing, or was it the best thing, or is it neither? It's only the meaning that you give it. That's what it is, because it's empty of meaning. This is dreaming. Yeah. Hold on. All right, honey, go ahead.
Well, speaking of meaning, so when we look at what's going on in the Middle East and we give the meaning that this is very scary and have nightmares, I mean, that seems to be, it just seems so real that that's very frightening.
To who? That's the question I would use it for. In this platform, I would use what you said, not for what was going on, but for who is it going on, and who is it that's so frightened by it.
Well, I'm giving a meaning to it that makes it frightening.
But I know, but go even before that. Who is it that's giving it the meaning?
Yeah.
See, yes, because you're not giving it the meaning. When it says you and I are giving it the meaning, you and I are the dreaming. We are not the dreamt. Yes, this dreamt is a conductor of meaning, but in the programming, the conductor of meaning thinks it's the source of the meaning. You're not the source of the meaning. Yeah. So when he says you and I, it doesn't mean you and I as an action figure. It means you and I as what we are, which is the dreaming of everything. So it's very nice. No matter how important it is about the world and everything else, you could throw the little question in, well, who is it that's concerned? Doesn't mean to give up concern. It's just to see who the hell it is. Yeah. And then hopefully not losing interest in what's happening, but losing interest in the who that thinks it's happening. Yeah. To lose interest in that is the point, especially of this platform. Yeah. It's like Ramana Maharshi said simply, if you've ever heard of him, very simple thing. He's talking about, but it's a principle. So he was presented with this statement everyone gets, the question, which is there free will or is it all predetermination? And is there free will in predetermination? So even the free will that you think you have is predetermined. Yeah. So Ramana says, he must have heard it thousands of times. He says, listen, if there's a sense of individuality, there's a sense of free will. Yeah. Now, the person who was asking about the free will was probably in a sense of individuality without knowing it. And know all the attention, instead of going there, because this is the source of the feeling of free will, is the sense of individuality, you want to go to free will as a topic, and in a way to deny or hide the real topic, which is you. Yeah, the sense of individuality. Because the sense of individuality is what produces the sense of free will. The sense of free will doesn't have anything to stand on without the sense of individuality. Why would you want to question all of that without questioning the root? This is the whole point. And then he said, you know, all these questions, the only real value they have is to be used as a pointer to who has the question. Yes, because it's a sense of individuality, and a sense of individuality does not prove there's an individual. A sense of individuality can be manufactured by the head. Just like a hypnotist can have you believing you're a fucking chicken. Yes, well, you're living with a hypnotist right now, and it has you seemingly, there's not a you, but there's a believing that you're this action figure. And if you study for years about there is no free will, and you go into a Baskin-Robbins store with 28 flavors, and you went in there thinking you were going to order vanilla for the whole day, and then you switch to mocha, there goes your fucking 800 years of seminars about free will, because you have a feeling of free will. What?
That they changed their order for ice cream. I always want to understand what you mean by this.
Well, because it sounds like you had free will, because you had one idea, vanilla, and then you chose chocolate.
Yeah.
That would imply free will. Yes. Yes.
So we do have free will?
No, the sense of individuality has free will. The robot and some of what the robot does are both not us. Yes? So the robot is the sense of individuality, and the robot has a programming of free will. Yeah? So it doesn't have to stop having the program of free will, but it would probably be helpful to see that you're not the robot. Yeah, because the robot, to stay the robot, may seem to be extremely interested in free will, only to reinforce the idea of the sense of individuality, which is really the root you'd like to check out. Yeah, that's why Ramana said, he said, the meaning or the value of these questions is not anywhere close to the value of asking who is it that has the question. Yes, the sense of individuality triggers a lot more relief than believing that you don't have free will as an individual. Yeah. This is the beauty of it. So let's say there's 50 nuts and bolts, and one opens something that the other 49 don't open. And then you see the other 49's activity is really based on that one nut and bolt. And if you weaken this one nut and bolt, it weakens all the other beliefs about the other 49 bolts. But if you keep weakening the other 49 bolts, they don't weaken this nut and bolt. You see? Here it is. This is beautiful, really. We have some idea that it's time here. Yeah, time. Things happen. Sometimes they don't seem to happen, and they start to happen, and then they end. And then something else happens. Yeah. So time is going on. Yeah. And in time, there are processes. Yeah. Things happen, and some processes are quicker than others. Yeah. So the process of the idea that seeing implies a seer is pretty fast. So in the act of seeing, very, very quickly, probably less than a second, the head has you as a seer. So the seeing through an eyeball, I'm not talking about awareness, seeing through an eyeball, yeah. The head reacts to that event, seeing, and says that event, seeing, implies a seer. And then you are crowned as the seer. And not only that, the hierarchy of meaning, the seer gets ahead of the seeing, when the seeing is the only thing that happened. But now the seer is more important in this hierarchy of the head than the seeing. So now the hearing, super fast. Claiming of the hearing, hearer, very, very fast. Yeah. Hearer now is presupposed before the hearing. So what happens? Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking, this is what's going on. Doesn't seem like we have much choice. Yes. Maybe the choice would lie on what to see, but seeing doesn't seem to have a choice. Even when your eyes are closed, you're sort of in the act of seeing anyway. It's sort of brilliant back there. Yeah. So seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching is going on. The head reacts to that and claims it, uses it. Claims means to use. It's going to claim this thing, and it's going to use the seeing to imply this idea of being the seer. Yeah. And the hearer and the feeler and the taster and the toucher. And you're not going to be pictured as 6 different things. You're going to be pictured as one thing that's doing them all, which is the body. So you're not going to be pictured as, oh, when seeing happens, you're not pictured as a seer, a unique, there's not like 6 of you. This isn't like one of those fucking horror movies with the 9 personalities, you know, killing and all like this. It's not that. The seeing, the hearing, feeling, tasting, touching is being used, yeah, to imply a doer of all this stuff. And it is pictured as one seemingly long-lasting, independent, separate thing. So you remember yourself as a seer through the act of seeing. Yeah. This is not seeing. This facilitates, let's say, vision, eyes, but what's seeing is not the eyes, obviously. You can have perfect eyes, and if your body's dead, those eyes aren't seeing shit. And we know a guy in Seattle who drives around with eyes to be transplanted in living heads now. So it's funny, we have these talks, and he's listening to it in his truck, and he's driving, because I think you got to get an eye in like 3 hours after the person dies or something, you know, something. It's not, you can't do it like 3 months, you know, the eye it goes stale. It's got to be sort of quick. You got to get the aliveness, because if it doesn't, yeah, it can, yeah. So you put it in there, and that eye that was never going to see again, if it's stuck in Uncle Fred's head after he's dead, is now facilitating Steve to be the seer. That's how the head is using it. So Steve may have been better when he wasn't a seer. He only had 4 fucking things: hearing, feeling, tasting. Now he's got seeing, which is the most fucking addictive. Really, seeing is definitely, the head is using seeing more than the other. Oh, it definitely, maybe not in Italy, maybe it's taste, but taste is pretty strong there. But here it's seeing, yeah, yeah. Seeing obviously seems like I'm seeing,
Sally.
yeah, Sally, but I was going as a thing from this thing, yeah. And I have Sally named Sally, and everyone here has a different name, but I have been crowned with one exalted name, me. But I'm never a me when Sally looks at this you. I'm never a me, am I? Ever. So the me captures the subjectiveness that's happening through the object. The head wants to call the object me, but it's coming to that point through the subjectiveness of the interpretation of you from here. Yes, you see? So now the subject-object wedding has been made by the head. So everything, when things are happening, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, thinking, they're all being used mechanically to imply and constantly being pointing back to the seer, hearer, feeler, taster, toucher, when this is actually, from, let's say, Ramana's point of view, a non-existent thing. So it's a non-existent thing that's been presupposed to be an existent thing by the head. And the head constantly keeps doing this, yeah? So that the subjectiveness of life is seen as a quality of an object. This is what non-duality negates. It negates the me and the you. The you that everyone here is a you, but as a you to everyone else, I don't see it that way. I see it as me. Because the subjective experience is coming through here, yeah? So that's what I'm really calling me, but it's pictured as a body, but it's not a body. Yes? So this is going on. And what could possibly happen? Well, we found out. Yeah. If you start from an imaginary starting point, someone could make up huge races. Yeah. Something could look at things in such an incredibly different light, and you would never be able to look back because you were already tattooed by the first process. This is why self is implied and then self is known through all the other processes. Yeah. The first process is implying the idea of self, and then all the other processes are infected with the idea of self. This is why non-duality came up, because a lot of it was he uses it specifically. He says specifically, presupposing the non-existent thing, the body, to be the existent thing, the subjective experience, yes? Yeah, and then wanting to get salvation for itself, the spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? So he is talking about spiritual practices coming as a way of rebutting the first process of selfing. But now you're going to do it as a self. So you're going to practice spirituality as a self, and you will actually try to stop selfing as a self. Which it's completely insane. It's completely insane. And innocently, by being at these meetings for 7 years, when people would hear this idea of selfing, which is the mental activity that's implying something, and then we picture that something as a body, mind itself, yeah? I would say people would hear the idea of selfing and they would get in touch with me innocently and say, I've been selfing all day. Yeah. Or selfing's been driving me crazy. Very innocently. And this is the innocent way you see it. That's infected by that first process. You're now seeing the effects of the selfing from the product of selfing. Now you want to get out of it, and this is where AA says a beautiful statement: self can't get out of self, because there's a huge fucking drive to get out of self, huge, yet it can't get out of self. Why is that? Because you're not self. You can't get out of an imaginary thing. You can't. If you try to get out of an imaginary thing, being what we are, being ourselves reality, you're now giving reality or meaning to the imaginary thing as being real. You've lost the fucking, Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Yeah. And I humbly believe seeing stuff, not, something opened up a secret man. No, just fucking looking at what it looks like to be here awake, which we all are. Yeah, you can see some activities. This activity, I don't believe, can be beat by another process, because that process will probably be interpreted as you doing something to get before the process, and there is no you. So this process of the idea of you infects the processes that go after it. I do not believe the processes that go after it neutralize it. I believe, like Ramana said, they're reinforcing it. They're reinforcing the misunderstanding by trying to get out of it as the thing that you're not understanding. Yeah, yeah.
Say there's no you, is it equivalent to say that you're everything, or is that still in the game?
You could see that, you could say, but that would be something you'd hope you'd find out. Why would anyone want to tell you that anyway? You may find out you're everything, but when you hear you're everything as something, it fucking just disturbs you, I feel. I do. I would rather not say anything to anyone. I would just offer the invitation and leave the time and date and the place up to you to find out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the head will conceptualize everywhere and you'll be a somewhere walking in the everywhere. You know? It's just, that's why the first book was Escape from Everywhere. I mean, how can you escape from everywhere? Exactly. Yeah, it's just a fundamental flaw, FLAW, in the programming, and humbly being an astronaut of addiction. You know, I've traveled far and realized in my own experience that self does not it can't get out of self. Its whole drive is to get out of self. It doesn't have, and I don't believe it's AI. I do not believe it's growing. I believe when you hit that ceiling, you should stop trying to fly up through the ceiling. Just leave the fucking mental house. It's not yours and you don't have to be in it. You've been paying rent and you've got a better place right outside. Yeah. Self can't get out of self. Why is that? It's explained. You're already thought of before you start thinking. You're thought of as a self. So now the thinking is held as I'm the thinker, doesn't it? Give me a fucking break. Did you diabolically plan this when you were 5 and 6? No. You had a pre-programmed understanding, shit showed up, and of course you were seen as the doer of it. So suddenly you're getting thoughts that when you were 5 didn't mean shit, and now 6. You're looking at you're in the bathroom seeing if there's a pimple on the side of your nose for hours or something. Something is going off. And this whole idea that everything, you're behind it all or before it all. So all the thoughts are mine. Incredible. How did you don't even go there with burrito. Do you believe you're digesting the food you ate yesterday? It would be a joke. Oh, I got to take a break. Sorry, I got to finish. I thought I digested this burrito. I forgot. It's on my list. No, but a much more subtle process we think we're the doer of, thinking. Yes? If someone laid about 30 shits out, would you say that's my shit? No. It falls into a big category of shit. All right, you don't even want to you don't need a good look. I can't reckon it's not my shit. But here, thousands of stuff coming through. My thoughts, my feelings. You don't even know how you feel most of the time. Oh, I know exactly how I feel. Describe it. Angry. No, that's how the head interprets it. There's a time delay. And especially with feelings, it doesn't know what the fuck to say. Can you describe the feel? No, fuck it. No, it won't admit it. So it's, oh, that's anger. I'm resentful. Yeah, you don't even have a clue. It's just being fed data and false evidence. And so if false evidence is constantly being presented and it's constantly appearing real, you got to stop. Don't look at that false evidence. See the false evidence that's receiving it, because we're basically false evidence appearing real. The idea that the subject is an object is an appearance of false evidence appearing real. This is what we're holding up all day. So false evidence appearing real is now going to have incredible discernment about other false evidence appearing real. Give me a fucking break. It's like here, you know every tree, but you're missing the forest. And this is what non-duality brings. It has us take another step back or before and just see from here what's going on, instead of looking at what's going on from already a process, yes, the process of selfing, and living from the product of the process of selfing self. Yeah. If it isn't true, which it ain't, it's great news, because this isn't the void. You can step back and there's sound ground there. And that ground is awakeness, not awakeness coming out of a fire of distinguishing the opposite, just awakeness, just a natural state of onness that there, you don't, if there is a switch, you're not privy to it. Yeah, there's just a switch. All you can do is say you're not awake and act and live as if you're not awake. It cannot change the fact that you're awake. Awakeness is the basis of this whole event. Yeah, awareness is the basis of the whole event. Now, the awareness coming up with these, running into these ideas may be aware and being an incredible neutral witnessing of everything, may be aware of this whole story of being seemingly asleep, that the head is running. Yeah, but what's giving light to that story is awareness. Yeah. You wouldn't know you were fucked unless there was awareness. Yeah. So there's a basis that doesn't get affected by all the changing of conditions in time and space. It's a timeless, unconditional basis, and we are that. This is the assumption or the implied direction of non-duality. Stop pointing, you don't need to point at what you are, you're already that. Let's point at what you're not. And through negation, you'll start living an affirmation instead of trying to affirm something that's only reinforcing the negation. Yeah, that which needs to be negated is being reinforced by the affirming of something. Something gets negated, and then you're the life affirming event. Yeah. Now, certain things, humbly, I don't know, I'm just going to say how it happened with me, came to ends. There was points where you were convinced, and it never has changed since. One is the idea that you can be out of the moment, completely insane, completely insane. This whole idea of being the out of the moment and then trying to get into the moment. You cannot be out of the moment. You are the moment. There's no moment without us. Yeah. So that's put to rest, and I mean real rest. Real rest. It doesn't move. You don't go back every year, dig it up and see if it's dead. It's dead. You're very clear. You don't spend a second looking for what you are anymore. Never. In 20-something years, never. The mystical mirror out, look out the side of the eye, no, out, getting super fast, out. It's like, here you are. You can know a lot of shit. You can't know that. You can be it, which I feel we are, but you can't know it. You have to be something else. And you're not. Yeah. So that's not privy to you. It isn't. You can't have an experience of it. What you are is influencing every experience. Yeah. But you cannot have it as an experience. You can't get it. You can't lose it. Pretty good. Yeah. No time and space. The seeker is not looking for another new radical sort. The seeker is the sort. Space and time compresses, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Here you are. You're always on this brink of uncertainty. It's awesome in a sense. Yeah. Yeah. And these things get established because it's a sound, solid basis. It doesn't need to be reinforced. Your living will reinforce it. Yeah. In this case, being it is the reinforcement of it. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the second message that I had in this life that superseded the first one because it was before the first one, even though it came after. So basically, before, with all that looking and trying to get out of me, I was already that. Yeah. So it was funny, it came second, but it's the primary message. Yeah. but I couldn't get to the primary message in time or space, but through that first message, yes? See, this is funny. You would think that, oh, there's nothing to do, but there may be something to do. Because you're gonna be cast in a place called dreaming, and the way the Course describes how it can look is you and I are the dreaming of this dreaming, and we're now gonna use the dreaming to dream ourselves out of the dreaming, which would be getting sober for some people, yeah? So in the dreaming, I had to get sober to get out of the dreaming. Well, there's no need to do that, but there was. But there is still no need to do that, but there was. Yeah, see, this is the paradox of things. Yes, there's absolute, but absolute bends. Yeah, so yeah, I didn't need to do anything, but I needed to do something. How are you going to explain that? Did you really need to do it? Seemingly. Nothing would have happened if I didn't, but I'm clear I didn't need to do it, but I needed to do it. And you get quite comfortable with that. So certain things are called upon, and if you try to use this to deny those things, it's not going to work, first of all, which is great. Non-duality can't be applied as a way of you getting out of you for a little bit of time. It just doesn't work. Yeah, that's what I love about it. When someone rushes in here and they're in like an experiential addiction, they drop this ball the next week. They see there's nothing, there's no parades ahead, there's no coronation, no blissful fucking ecstatic, maybe a little tantra on the side, shit like that. It's this is fucking, no, it's a great idea. It's amazing, but fuck, it's sort of boring. Yeah, I want to look better. I want to not attracting enough of the opposite sex. Fuck it, it's not working. I want to have some accompanying benefits. This is nothing. It gives nothing, because nothing. If you're going to have to arrive at nothing, there's going to be a lot of failure, which is great. That's going to be the success. You're going to try to get it. You're going to try to understand it. You're going to try to experience it. You try to have it. You're going to try to, and they're going to fail because you're onto something. And this something is your greatest success is brought about by failure. You're a failure to attempt to become what you already are, the failure of trying to get what you already are, the failure of trying to arrive at where you already are is an incredible success. If you see it, yeah. So somebody says, I'm never going to get it, and it's super bummed out. The same, another person will say, I'm never going to get it, and it's hallelujah. So I'm never going to get it, and it's based on I've got to get it is a bummer. I'm never going to get it because I already am it is hallelujah. Yeah. It's just the way of hearing things. And I hope this is, you'll get, it's a little, it's in the beginning, it's like unique, or it's like a dog, like a German Shepherd with the, your head's trying to fucking pick up on it. It's getting a little bit, but it doesn't get it. That's great, because it shows you it can't understand outside the box. Again, this isn't AI. This is programming, yeah? And the programming has limits. And when you hit the limit, if you don't see it as a limit, you're going to keep hitting, yeah? I saw it with desire to escape. Without knowing it, every vehicle I had been in my life, drug addiction, doing drugs, spirituality, all these were really being used as a vehicle to get out of self. That was the whole drive. Self wanted, if drugs would have worked, it would have stayed with that, but nothing works. Not because the things don't work, that's because self's there. Yeah, because self can't get out of self. So all of the vehicle to get out of self can't work because self can't get out of self. And this is the act of being identified as something before you start trying to get out of it. Yeah, because you have an idea that self is something other than you, and it's not. You're in another aspect of the same fucking thing. So you're trying to get out of something as the something you're trying to get out of. It's the same thing with you're using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. It's sort of the opposite direction. You're using self to get out of self, which is just as impossible as using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. It's just the opposite side of the same coin. Yeah, we got this in recovery. Hopefully, that self can't get out of self. It opens up a whole new solution. Not trying to pound out a solution from the same old misunderstanding. It will change how you read certain books, like the Book of Recovery. It will change what you read. It will change what's emphasized. You'll see it in a whole different light. Yeah. When it says self-imposed, it won't be you imposing it on you. You'll feel like something other than you is imposing on you. When there's a decision based on self, you won't be thinking you made the decision. No. Something made a decision for you, so to speak, and it ended up bringing misfortune you felt you didn't deserve. And it explains it unbelievably. That's if you're driven, you're not the driver. So it says you're driven by 100 forms of so and whatever. That implies you're not the fucking driver. Yes? So something is moving through you and is actually using you for transportation. And in this case, you're left holding the bag because you're identified. If you don't see the act of identification of self, you're probably going to be playing out the gymnastics of self, trying to get out of self. You are. Now, the gymnastics are going to go on. It's nice if you're not involved with all those postures. You're seeing it. See, the head doesn't get this message. It doesn't. The head doesn't line up with your new agenda. It doesn't get it. It can only see everything within it. It can't imagine its own absence. It's present doing that. Yes? So you recognize the failure of something. So like if there was a ladder to heaven and it only had 3 rungs, you would realize that's not a ladder to heaven, yes? After the 3 rungs. Would you keep using it on and on and on? Yes, so. Yes.
Sort of practicum. I really loved how you said, this is a program. And I'm thinking of, me in my office with my ADHD, and when I'm trying to make gig calls and I'm looking at who I'm supposed to call, I go into gridlock. And it's like, I can't, it's like, I'm in gridlock. And I thought, I'll say, it's a program. I don't have to be in this gridlock situation.
Exactly.
So what would be another way in that situation, another way to manage a situation such as that?
Just admit you can't manage it. That's what I do. Instead of, I just admit I'm outmatched. Take a breath and see what happens. Yeah. Or you can ask, well, who is it that feels all the stress about this, that, which it can't manage? Just ask and see if anyone shows up when you ask that. Yeah, there's ways. This is true, see? This doesn't have to be, this is not a manufacturing of something that has to constantly be reinforced and remanufactured. You actually landed onto something that's true. You are not what you thought you were, yeah? And you are something before the process that has you as something after, yeah? So instead of trying to get out of something as the product of the something, you see it. You don't go to war. It's very disarming. Yeah. And the killing of everything is just loss of interest. Like St. Francis says, it's himself forgetting. It wasn't in the final conflict and you win. It's fucking forgetting. You lose interest in it. That's what kills it. It drinks being relevant. Yeah. If it wants to at least play the role of I'm obscuring you from the light, it gives itself a lot of relevance. When the relevance gets dismissed, it's like a slow, you ever see those movies where the things, It's like shrinking and the volume's going down very quickly. You can, it's just a loss of interest, really. I was kidding. See, the thing is, in spirituality, there was a whole other. I like to use the term because it's my experience. There's a beach in San Francisco called Ocean Beach. Now, Ocean Beach is open ocean. It can be fucking unbelievably heavy or nice sometimes. It's really nice. It's like a wave factory, easy access. You get in there. No, you're not going to get whacked. But sometimes it's really good, but there's a wall of white water, so to speak. So you're going to have to work to get through to get to the waves. Now, the waves look beautiful, but what's exhausting you is getting to the waves. You don't have the money to be airlifted. You think of this shit. You do. I wanted to have someone just drop me, have a little helicopter, so I don't have to paddle it, just take me away from and just drop me where the waves are. I can handle the waves. I can't handle this coming out. Yeah. So in a sense, spirituality was, okay, there's the waves of life, but there's Paul was like the wall. I have to get through Paul. And then they would start telling me some of Paul's things that don't work in spirituality. You got Paul, you got to give up your preferences. Fuck, shit, that's, how am I going to do? No idea. How does that happen? You got to stop cherishing your opinions. What? And definitely stop judging. What? That's all the head does. It judges, distance between this and what? So it's just like a whole nother wall of orders that I knew I was going to fail. And like a more responsibility. Fuck, now I gotta be, I'm not only, I have to be responsible, I've gotta be awake. I have to be. I mean, enough is enough. I've gotta be, it was worse. I was ignorant would be bliss.
It was the more white water that you were producing.
Exactly. So, but what happens now when I hear this lady was at my house talking about, she's in some program and they're saying, yeah, you got to give up your preferences. And I said, well, I would just say I'm not that, which needs to give up its preferences, or that which thinks it has preferences. That word works. It's like the slacker of spirituality. It truly is. I've been looking for this message forever. Because I couldn't handle a whole new line of orders. I have to be mindful every second. I forget my keys every day. All this shit, I was failing on all the quizzes. Are you awake right now? What? No, this is like, just see you're not that which is so concerned about all this shit. Yes. Yeah. It's the loss of interest in self. It's not super interest in self by trying to become a non-self. That doesn't work. There's so much orders. I can't handle it. So this is simple. I haven't done shit in years. Yeah. I haven't. I probably got more information through my ass sitting in that satsang. Yeah. So much gets revealed when you're not looking for revelation. Yeah. All the desiring and stuff, that arm reaching for the desire is not attached to you. It's not your arm. It's not your arm. Things are flailing away through ignorance. And the basic ignorance is a mistake of what is and what ain't. Yeah. And you can see, if you're seeing something, it's probably not you. So when you see the activity of the head, you're not seeing it from the head. Because if you're viewing the activity head in the head, you're getting a doctored version of the activity of the head. It's got you at a very small bandwidth and you're getting fed. Yeah. But when you see it outside, and there is a huge outside, you see the activity that was being used to imply you, not from the you that was implied. Yeah. Yeah. And one whack of that can erase tons of shit. It can. Yeah. All the data of the minutiae of memory and reinforcing it, because it's not on a sound basis, can be, brushed right off. But when you hear and sense I am, it's solid, man. It's got a root system. And therefore, instead of trying to anchor yourself, you see you're anchored wherever you are. Yeah, I would much rather those desired conditions, I'd rather have them as my nature than something to acquire. Yes? There's no demand or command to do anything from there. If I am what I'm looking for right now, yes, the burden is off. But see, a lot of people want to acquire qualities to have as another quality. I'm not that interested in that. I'd rather lose that first quality of me and then see where it goes. Yeah, yeah. It's not even losing it because it's not there. It's just a loss of interest in holding up its activity. Yeah, then its activity keeps going, but now the CNN news flashes can be Comedy Central. Yeah. Your fashion for the day isn't based on that weather forecaster anymore. Yeah. It's telling you to turn left. You very rarely turn left. You just, yeah. So you're hearing it, but you're not listening to it anymore. It's a huge difference. Hearing it is you gotta hear it. Yeah, it may not be as long or loud as it was, but you're gonna hear it, but you're not listening to it. Listening to it is what amps up its volume. When you're listening to it, it gets louder, doesn't it? Yes. There's something to see there, that you're the volume control. Yeah. You are. So if thoughts are held as yours, you're gonna be listening to them. If thoughts are seen as thoughts, you're gonna hear them. Yeah, simple as that. If thoughts are seen as yours, you're gonna be bound to that claiming, and there's gonna be a listening to those thoughts. And then you're gonna have to be a master of a lot of skillful means to limit the effects of your thoughts in your life. Or you can see that they're not your thoughts and you'll be listening to them. I mean, hearing them, very rarely listening to them, and very, very rarely following anything they say. Yeah, you can have a completely different life. If the thoughts were meant to align with how your life looks, they'd miss every time. They're so off. They're not hovering right above you perfectly. No, they're like fucking way over, like 5 acres away while you're living. And they're trying to, and you can see the title, this loop is from 79 or something. They're like, when they're here, you can't see the fine print when it's right on you, but when it's they're like, what? I've heard that from 1984. Jesus Christ. Oops. They don't have an infinite loop. It's a finite loop. It just keeps going over and over. Yeah. You travel later. Wasn't the dream that everything would stop? That's just a dream. That's not how I've seen it. I think it continues going on, but because of us, its proportion and its volume goes way down. Yeah, because its size is based on our interest and attention. We blow up the balloon. The balloon does not blow up itself. So it's a balloon. We either put a lot of air in it or we don't. Yeah. And I believe you can get to a place where not giving it air is stabilized. Yeah. Yeah. So you're having a new basis of traveling lighter, and then maybe things that weren't so important can be seen to be very important. Like, should I, toast bread a little longer or something, So I make big things out of little things now. I want those fucking biscottis. No, shit like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I think that's it. Anyone in there? Anyone in the Zoom world? The
We're
Zoom.
still here,
I don't see any
Paul.
hands right now.
No
hands.
hands. Wow. All right.
Hey,
Was the
Paul, I
audio
just wanted
on?
to say,
Did you hear us the whole time? I hope.
Yep, we hear you.
Good.
I think Eric's, do you have a question?
I just wanted to say, right at the beginning of the meeting, you said something about, have the compassion to give them absolutely nothing.
Yes.
That That was classic. I'm gonna steal that.
Well, it wasn't hard, even in the nature of the action figure. I don't think I could be pinned a codependent or I just don't have that little flaw in the nature of FLAW. Oh, yeah, I believe that. There was a great, I don't know if it's valid or not, but when I was in India and afterwards, I heard a story about Ramana, which I think is beautiful. And he walked in and a number of people that had been with him for a long time were talking with themselves about could they teach, like share the message. So he walked in. So then they asked him, hey, do you think we could teach? He says, yeah, all of you can teach, but I don't recommend it. And so they were a little confused and then they go, why? And he says, compassion. And they go, can you explain that? He says, yeah, you'll be sitting in front of some people. Yeah. And you'll feel compassion for them and you'll dilute the message. Yeah. So you'll try to play the message to the thing that we're not. Yeah. So he said, and it's easy to have compassion like this with a small group. Yeah. Could you imagine if your mortgage of a house that you have was based on how many people and the intensives they go to and all like that? Then there may be other things that play. So you can be, and then sometimes the group can capture the whole situation. So now, things can change. But luckily, our great success is based on our failure of not being popular and stuff. Brought about by cursing quite a lot early on. And with the names and bitch slap, which wasn't a very good move. But it was a nice way of culling the herd. And it's worked fantastically. So none of those temptations have ever come over me. I'll give you a simple example of it. When it's a longer story, but I was asked to consult these people that's starting a new rehab in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And there's a number of them there, very expensive. So people, celebrities and stuff go there and to whatever, get over their addiction or to cool it off. And so they were asking me, and I said, I think you should emphasize service, very important. And so based on the money, they came from this view, which is, well, should we tailor make every service for every person? I said, fuck that. Bring them to the same soup kitchen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't tailor the service for the person, put the person into the service. Well, you lose interest in the person. That's the fucking point. Yeah. So it was a simple little thing, and just all of what they were saying to me with these consultations had that same flow. We're going to have expensive customers here. And so we're going to have to treat them special, and that doesn't work in recovery. It doesn't work because this is the sense of terminal uniqueness is already super fucking high. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yes, Steve, tell no one of your friends to come, never show up here. Let's keep our success going, being unpopular.
Take money out of the basket.
No, give me more money. Give me more money so I can soak in my lavish lifestyle. All right, so everyone's fine. We're gonna say goodbye, Kathleen. Here, let's look at the lovely folks. Yeah. There's one about comets. He came, an asteroid. Yeah. Oh, there she comes late. See, some people just come for the coffee. We're the wisest people. Yeah. Kathleen, thank you for running the show today. And here's this thing again. Do you see it? I understand, I will never understand. Did you get that? I can't make sure. I
Yes,
don't. Yeah,
yes, we see it. We see it. Good
pretty
job.
nice, right? That's
Yes,
pretty.
I understand that I will never understand.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so Eric Platt, thank you. Yes, compassion. Dennis W. Vlad, Portugal. Nice to see you, brother. Yatindra, wow, that's a nice name. Yatindra. Nice to see you. I brought you up. I just woke you up there. Oh, it's Yatindra, AKA Hero. Oh. He's under the name Yatindra now. Okay. Is it Sri Yatindra? Sri Yatindra? All right. Sherry, nice to see you, honey. Johannes, a friend from the beginning. Nice to see you, Johannes. Terry, Camarillo, Axel, Germany. Thanks everyone for the donations. If you send any checks or anything, do not sign them Zen Bitchlaf. Thank you.
It's not a corporation yet.
Bank, my name was Zen. My last name Bitchlaf. They didn't go for it. Okay.
ZBS Corporation.
Yeah, the corporate, yeah. The corporation. Where's the headquarters? It's a post office box in Novato. All right, so Axel, yes. Ben, Roman Mueller, David Bitterman, thanks, Dave, today. Kerry, as always. Ariane. Ilian. I got it, good, that's pretty good. Chris H. He's got a very long vacation as Santa Claus. He just, he's got months doing nothing. Pretty nice. Bill Churchman, as always. Honesty. It's her name now. Dana, Honesty. Huh? Shannon Corkery. Mika from Finland. Zoe Banks, she's in Japan. Esther, we're coming, Esther. We're going to be in Doylestown June 18th, Tuesday. I think we're going to make it 7 o'clock, but we'll put it up when we're ready. Peter Shantz, nice to see you, Peter. See you, honey. See you, gals. They had better things to do. Yes. Good. Holly, Alba, Fletch, Mike G, Saraswati, Lucia, Christy. Oh, Chris, come back. That's nice to see you, huh? Harry Bell. Oh, Harry. You got that hat has a big bill there, Harry. Wow. Yeah. Chris B, our man in Massachusetts. We're going to go to Great Barrington too, Chris B, if you want to venture up there, probably on the 20th, I think. MKN. Hey, thank you, everyone. Thanks so much, Lucia. Thanks for all the support. And yeah, see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
David.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Vlad.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah, Paul, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, David.
Kathleen.
You guys are the best. I love you.
Love you too.